Imagine you spend $1,000 on an IEM because of promises from this company about amazing dynamics, turbo boost like a Ferrari, cough cough, Fio. I'm not going to actually cough, but yeah, you get the point. And then there's a $20 IEM you hear that sounds the same, if not better. Most people are just going to start making shit up to validate their purchases. This is the biggest problem in the audio hobby and is literally the only conceivable reason why technicalities as a term exists in the IEM space. Take, for example, the study on 4 different loudspeakers. G and D are identical except for their finish and are the most expensive loudspeakers. Loudspeaker S was the cheapest one, and loudspeaker T is a Harman speaker. This is a test with 40 Harman employees. Loudspeaker T was rated higher than S just because of brand loyalty. And it scored worse than loudspeaker S in blind testing. Even the Harman employees' brand loyalty could not save them from rating their own speaker lower than that of some cheap competitor. Loudspeaker G&D, the fanciest looking speakers. Think 64 Audio U12T. Okay, maybe the Thea Audio Monarch Mark II. And let's say S&T are the Soundpeats Free 2 Classic. This is really the only difference in sound quality between those, even though one is so much more expensive than the other. There's just, God, man, how can an IEM have technical ability? It doesn't make any sense. Sure, the driver can be stiffer and have a higher driving force and not depend as much on the acoustic load, but your own ears differ a lot from an IEC 711 coupler anyways in its acoustic impedance. It can go either way. There's not really anything that can be quantified as better in terms of driver technology as long as the frequency responses are the same at an average human ear or eardrum, which is what a coupler is, although the 711 is not as accurate as a 5128. As long as 2 IEMs have the exact same frequency response on a coupler that represents the average acoustic impedance of the human eardrum, they perform the same. Blind testing has honestly made this hobby a joke. It should not be a hobby anyways. Like, these are literally earbuds, glorified earbuds. You can make a real argument for speakers because there's actually benefits to more expensive speakers as far as even blind tests go. Like, how much does it cost to make an IEM? These are super tiny things with cheap drivers. Like, come on. It's not that complicated. You just need to think irrationally and stop making shit up all the time. IEMs are minimum phase devices. We just have maybe some differences at around 18 kilohertz, but for the most part to around 20 kilohertz, IEMs are minimum phase, except for them all kind of showing the same amount of excess phase past like 6 kilohertz, but humans are insensitive to phase shifts in the first place. Group delay plots might show something relevant, but all IEMs perform basically the same in this regard, except for maybe the Quarks DSP just because the implementation is bad or whatever, but what even is 5 milliseconds? That's not that much of a time. You'd still take a better frequency response in a blind test any day. You know, it's just, God. This is one of the biggest jokes of a hobby ever. It's just, my God. Why does it have to be so disappointing and complicated? These companies on their websites tell you the biggest bullshit. People believe them because who knows why. Shit, man. This is just... The Quarks DSP is $15. Excusing the noise floor sounds as good, if not better, than the Moondrop variations. That is a fact, and is backed up by the Harman studies. People need to stop making shit up and become real audiophiles and accept reality. I'd like to give a shout out to Fofo, Vsauce4, Linexternal, Wadiacre, and Snevry. Thank you guys for supporting the channel.